You're listening to the Back Home Network, presented by Home Field Apparel.
And welcome, Hoosier fans, to another edition of Assembly Call Radio, where we discuss the most important topics in the world of Indiana basketball. Tonight is our 1084th episode overall of the Assembly Call, and it's recorded on the evening of Thursday, August 28th. I'm your host, the coach, Brian Tonsoni. And let's begin this edition of the Assembly Call, how we begin every edition of the Assembly Call, and that is with our Hoosier Proud banner moment.
And Indiana is the national champion.
When it comes down, Indiana will be champion. Smart takes the shot.
The Hoosiers have won the national championship.
Tonight's banner moment occurred during move-in week in Bloomington when Coach DeVries, his staff, and team were in the community welcoming people to Bloomington. They were helping students move into the dorms. They were at the freshman class rally at Memorial Stadium, and also Coach had an appearance at our sponsor, Home Field Apparel's brand new store at the tracks on Kirkwood. We'll talk more about that coming up. But he was welcoming customers at this new store. These and other examples, such as meeting with Alex and Rick Bozich in his office and possibly other media to discuss the program, are refreshing to see after the perception that many of us had that the previous two coaching regimes shied away from opportunities like this. What does that all mean? Connecting to the community is a vital part of Indiana basketball. Talking basketball is important as well. While public appearances and detailed hoop talk do not guarantee wins on the court, they do begin to build a true college culture in and around the program. While not guaranteeing wins, what Coach DeVries has done is what good college coaches do. Thanks, Coach. You're off to a great start. Okay, now let me introduce my co-host this week. We will be popping in and out all night. All four of us will be back. I think maybe even Galen will pop on a little bit. So joining me right now is the shot doctor from San Diego, California, who is busy all day writing about the Parsons trade from Dallas to Green Bay, as he is a senior writer at Sports Illustrated. It's Ryan Phillips. And Ryan, I'm just going to go to you with your rant and rumination this week. What are you thinking?
You know, I think that the last time we were on here, it was Puerto Rico games were going on. And I think that, I've had a chance to sort of reflect and look back at some of the highlights and everything. I think it's just unbelievable the difference that we've seen in the motion and movement of the players on the floor under the new regime, how fast things move on both ends, how aggressive things are, the spacing, just everything is different. It just feels like there's an energy with the program that we haven't seen. And this isn't about the last 4 years. This is about the last decade. We have not seen this kind of speed and quickness and movement on both ends of the floor, and just energy. And I think that that's reflected in the fan base too. I think a lot of people are really excited about what they've seen so far, and you're just feeling a buzz about it. And, the players came back from the trip. Obviously they won 3 times. I think the most important part of that is, especially in the last game, they got down big and came back and won it late, showed some toughness, showed some grit. Again, don't really know about the how good the competition was, but these guys have never played together before. And so I think that focusing on this stuff and, talking about a win over a foreign professional team nobody really knows much about, all that stuff. It's not about that. It's about the process, not the results. And the process was they fought back, they counterpunched, they battled, and then, they showed what they could do from just again, an offensive defense standpoint with the movement and spacing and speed and all of that stuff. And it was just so encouraging to see. And I think that a lot of people felt that. And as I said, there's a bit of a buzz and excitement about the program as we head into the fall and get ready to start gearing up towards the season. But it's been really encouraging to see, and not expecting a national title in year one, but the movement towards the kind of basketball that wins titles, I think is really exciting for everybody.
Yeah, and I agree. It's going to be fun. We have football coming up. We're going to talk about that at the back end of our show. We'll talk about Puerto Rico again coming up. And as I said, we'll be joined by Jerod and Andy on the show as they settle in. But we'll talk about a few headlines here in segment 1, then we'll move to that Puerto Rico trip on segment 2. And we didn't have a mailbag this week, so we are going to talk about our podcast on the Back Home Network, especially the football podcasts that are new and coming out, and that if you're interested in Indiana football, you should check out. All of that is coming up this week on Assembly Call Radio. But first, let's talk about our presenting sponsor.
Home Field Apparel, wear one for the team.
This edition of Assembly Call Radio, just like all shows on the Back Home Network, is presented by our friends at Home Field Apparel, where they have the largest collection of vintage IU apparel that you'll find anywhere. And now they have their own store on Kirkwood that you can visit during your trips to Bloomington. They have the softest, most comfortable fabrics. You'll find mostly IU stuff down there. I have not been yet to the new store, but they also have 150 colleges and universities you can order. Their things and football boxes. Check them out at homefieldapparel.com. They're just doing a great job with the retro college logos. So make sure I just got a couple sweatshirts to add to my collection. You can do that too if you go to homefieldapparel.com and use our promo code HOME23 to get 15% off your entire order. That's promo code HOME23 for 15% off. Once again, the website is homefieldapparel.com. Wear one for the team. All right, here's the headlines in the last 3 weeks since we've been on. Coach DeVries out in the community. We talked about that. Over at our friends at Inside the Hall, combining with Hoops, they're starting their top 40 Big Ten player series, and so far released Tayton Connerway, honorable mention, outside the top 40. Reed Bailey just missed outside the top 40. I think you'll see those two possibly push for inclusion in the postseason version of this. Lamar Wilkerson comes in at 29. The top 25 is yet to be published. A question, Ryan, that we might be able to talk about is where do we think Alex and the guys at Hoops are going to place Tucker DeVries as a player in the Big Ten? I don't think anyone else will possibly be in the top 25 at this point. Indiana, this really doesn't count. As a bracketologist myself, is in the first 4 out in the ESPN bracketology. Not where we would want Indiana, but the games have yet to be played. I think it does resemble where Indiana is going to be in this first year under Coach DeVries, but we won't know for certain until Andy starts sharing his brackets about where Indiana is, and that'll come out after the games start. Indiana has announced 2 exhibitions, Friday, October 17th at home versus Marion, and then the biggie, October 26th versus Baylor at Gamebridge Fieldhouse. Time has not yet been announced. I think there is a Colts game that afternoon. Indiana versus Marquette, regular season game in Chicago on Sunday, November 9th, is a 1 o'clock Eastern tip. The tip time was announced there. And then the biggie, as much as we love basketball, and we're a basketball show, IU football begins its quest to get back to the college football playoff Saturday at 2:30 versus Old Dominion. Ham and cheese sliders are going to be on the Blackstone at the Tonsoni tailgate with a lot of other cold refreshments. We can't wait to get down to Bloomington. So, Ryan, as we see those highlights, anything grab your attention that you'd like to discuss?
I mean, football. Well, first of all, the Baylor exhibition I think is a great addition. Just to get them some competition before the season starts. I think that is more important this year than it's been in the past, just solely because this team, again, these guys need to get to know each other and they need to play games together on the court to be prepared for when the season hits. I mean, it's such a mashup of players who have played different places and not together, essentially. So that's a good one. I think that Marquette is going to be a very early test, but getting Baylor at Gamebridge Fieldhouse is going to be really good for the program and good for the players. And then, football starts this Saturday. I think it might be the most hyped season of Indiana football since I stepped on campus in 2003. So, Coach, how are you feeling? You get to be there. I mean, and don't even, don't talk to me about the ham and cheese sliders. I don't get to have them, so I don't want to hear about it.
No, the ham and cheese sliders are not as exciting as the football program. It's just been a long run, as you are well aware, as a 25-year season ticket holder, and the struggles of Indiana football. It's nice to be confident in the program again to a level that we haven't seen, probably, and exceeds Coach Mallory's time at Indiana. So it's going to be exciting to be down there. The rally tiles are made, and the atmosphere has become outstanding there at Memorial Stadium. Your thoughts on the
one thing real quick?
One
thing I want to mention, speaking of Hoosiers, Kyle Schwarber, 4 home run night tonight. Only the 21st time done.
Year.
21st time done in MLB history, but 3rd time this season that somebody has done that. So clearly a lot of home runs this year, but he a 4-homer night. He's having an unbelievable season for the Phillies, and worth noticing, mentioning. I mean, and going into free agency too. So go make that money, Kyle.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got like 50 home runs, I think, at this time, or 49. I know. I saw the other day he had 45, so he's close to 50 already. Cal Raleigh has 50 for the Seattle Mariners. There's some outstanding stats coming through on in Major League Baseball, but we have a Hoosier that is really doing well.
Yeah.
How hard is it?
By the way, he's at 49 and 119 RBIs this year.
Unbelievable. And about 30 games left, right? I think.
Yeah. Oh, almost basically a month. Yeah.
So let's talk that top 40 list that Alex puts through every year, and then he catches a lot of grief.
Always
for all that, right? How hard? Let's start with this way, just to have a conversation. How hard is it to rank when what do we have? 18? I don't even remember how many teams we have in the Big Ten.
Yeah,
you got 90 starters, right? And you got to pick top 40. I think that's got to be a difficult task for those guys, and I'm glad they do it every year because it's a fun exercise to go through.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and I think that part of the deal here is you're probably going to get one player off each team on these lists, because otherwise it's not really fair to consider the best player on every team. And it is a tough thing to do. Go through all of those rosters, all of those starters. Some teams 6-man probably belongs on the top 40, depending on, how you line these up. But it's difficult. And the other thing is, with so many transfers, you've got guys like Lamar Wilkerson, who hasn't played at the Big Ten level. So he's a good basketball player, but he also hasn't played his games at this high a level. So how does he fit into this level? They put him at 29. It's hard to argue with that because we just haven't seen Lamar Wilkerson do this. I would imagine that Tucker DeVries is going to be a top 10, top 15 guy on that list, just given everything he's accomplished at the college level. But again, most of that happened at Drake. He didn't play a ton of games at West Virginia. So, how does he line up here? And Indiana, I think, I would imagine the one guy in the top 28 they have is Tucker DeVries. I don't think anybody else will wind up on there based on, the roster they have. But yeah, I think that those are very difficult to do. It's a thankless task because very few people are going to be satisfied with it. Everyone's going to have a gripe. When you're putting 40 players in there, you're going to get opinions on every single one of them. So, good for Alex and the guys at UM Hoops for doing that every year.
Yeah, I think on Indiana's list, I think you're going to have 2 in the top 40, and I think for a total rebuild of the roster, I think that's a good start at preseason that people think there are 2 in the top 40. I do think 2 in the quote honorable mention or just missed is also a good sign that Indiana will be more than competitive this year. Obviously, the stuff has to be done on the court. I think my initial reaction at Wilkerson at 29 was I think he's going to surprise some people because he's going to get the stats. He's going to light up the 3, and he's going to have some big time games. And I think as we talk about Puerto Rico in the second segment, he was a big component of their wins. And when they got down and had the deficits, it's because he and DeVries weren't scoring. So I wouldn't be surprised if Indiana has a successful year. You'll see Wilkerson. I don't know that what they do with all Big Ten at the end, if it's 5, 10, 15 people. I'm not saying he's going to reach that level, but he might be a top 20 player, top 25 player by the time the year ends if things go the way Indiana wants to go.
And I think I was just going to say, I think you could say the same about Connor Wade too. I think he's going to surprise people.
I really want to talk to you about Connerway here in the second segment, because I think the reason, everyone's going to look at who scored and who did what, but I imagine I haven't seen any film of the Puerto Rico games, but I imagine that Connerway had a huge hand in those come from behinds and keeping Indiana somewhat close in the first half of that last game with 18 points. I haven't seen much of his game, but I'm kind of really excited about seeing him. And you mentioned the exhibitions being important. I'm glad they're playing someone like Baylor. You have to get ready for the season quick, and you have to win early in college basketball. Referring back to the ESPN bracketology, the games matter. So that November 9th game against Marquette, you've got to be ready, because if you win that at a neutral place, that is a huge benefit for your resume to get to the tournament. We've had in the past waiting, and the team gets better in February, and then you're playing from behind catch-up-wise with your resume, and it just hasn't worked out positively for Indiana in the last 8 years, kind of easing their way into the season. And I think I know we played Tennessee last year. I think these type of things that the NCAA has allowed are very, very important. Anything else here in segment one before we go into segment two and talk a little bit about Puerto Rico?
I got it. What's your prediction for IU football this year?
This year, I was telling Eddie before, I think they can repeat and slide into the college football playoff. I think they're going to have to win some really key road games, which are going to be difficult. Yeah. I think the schedule is more difficult.
Much more.
I think there'll be 8 or 9 wins, and maybe not make the college playoffs, and all of us are going to be disappointed. And I was telling Eddie, like, what a strange world this is when if we end up 8 or 9 wins and we don't make the college playoff, and we're in a New Year's Eve bowl in Tampa on December 31st. I think most of Indiana fans now would be disappointed, which is a great place to see the program get in just 1 year. So
yeah,
I'm looking at 9 or 10 wins, trying to be realistic, going to Oregon, going to Penn State, Iowa. You got to win some of those, and if Indiana does, they're going to deserve another trip to the college football playoff.
Yeah.
Your thoughts?
I got them with 8 solid wins and then 2 swing games. It's where they could be 8-4, they could be 10-2. I kind of
that Illinois game is huge.
That's going to be the big early season one. I mean, obviously, because the first 3 are pretty easy. But like you look at that, typically you see Illinois on the schedule, and you're like, it'll be a fine game. But Illinois is coming to the season ranked 12th. I mean, that's I think that surprises a lot of people who weren't paying attention to Illinois last year. But that's going to be a big one. And then to follow that up a week later, you don't get a week off. You play the number 12 team in the country. Then you travel to Iowa, which is always a tough place to play. And Iowa just grinds you down. So, and then following that up, you get a break, but then you go to Eugene to play Oregon.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty unforgiving stretch of the schedule. And we'll see. We'll see what they do.
And we as fans have to be good fans too, because this all or nothing mentality that society is in, like, what's social media going to be like if you are 8-4 and in that New Year's Day bowl? Like, that's a hell of a season for Indiana. And I don't want to downplay expectations, because it'd be nice to be in the college football playoff every year. But where Indiana was, there was a time when it just get to 6 was the mentality, right? I'm pleased. I think they're going to be very competitive, and I think if they do go 8-4, the losses will be tight and competitive, and hope for a little more. I'm going to sure enjoy the heck out of a 8-4, 9-3 season if that happens, and if it's better than that, I will probably go crazy.
Yeah, and there's a lot of new pieces too, so it might take some time. If they look a little out of sorts this weekend, don't jump on the bandwagon. A lot of teams are going to look out of sorts early with so many transfers and new players and all that. So I think that, judge them by what happens at Illinois, and they're moving forward.
That's why Indiana plays that SEC schedule, right? To get those 3 games in before a tough conference. That the SEC is now – I love Coach Signetti. I mean, he's just sticking it to the SEC, and it's so fun that Indiana football is living rent-free in ESPN and the SEC. So keep it up, Coach. We love it. So, okay, coming up on Assembly Call Radio, we'll go deeper into Indiana's trip to Puerto Rico. We'll look at the team aspect. We'll look at some individuals. So stick with us here on the Assembly Call. All right, hello everybody. Glad to see you here on a Thursday evening. Eddie, you're behind the scenes. I do see that I'm not sure we are out on Twitter. So Jerod and we might have to see the connection there. That's probably
we have to sign up. We have to sign
Yeah.
up for premium again. To
Right,
get this
yeah.
on Twitter.
Twitter has, in a little inside baseball for everybody still joining us. We can no longer stream to Twitter unless we pay for it. So that's
okay.
something that they've
See
made a
what we do.
change on.
Hang on,
their
I'm
end.
gonna adjust something with my internet, so this may take a second, real quick.
Eddie, still having. Am I still underwater sounding to you there?
To me, we've had some technical difficulties also behind the scenes. Yeah, you sound a little bit under the water, which is not a huge deal.
Like Charlie
because
Brown?
Ryan says you sound great. But then when I play music, I sound underwater. So we're gonna let this thing roll and then edit all of this before we send it out over the old podcast
Airwaves.
landscape. So yeah.
Well, that's why we pay you the big bucks.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm earning my paycheck tonight.
Yes, you are. All right, here we go.
Hi, this is AJ Moye. What's the only thing better than upsetting Duke in the Sweet 16? Celebrating it with friends afterwards. Join Jerod, Andy, Ryan, and Coach for the assembly call after every IU basketball game. Go Hoosiers.
Welcome back to the Assembly Call. I'm the coach, Brian Tonsoni, here with Ryan Phillips. We're awaiting the arrival of Andy Bottoms and Jerod Morris. We have Eddie in the background on the ones and twos trying to help us out here today. Puerto Rico happened 2 or 3 weeks ago. We haven't seen much. Obviously, they haven't done anything that we can report. We did do a first time for me, a post-game show of a game that I didn't watch or that none of us watched, and we tried to analyze tweets and stuff. That was kind of fun and unique. That was game one, a 98-47 win over a team I'm not going to try to pronounce. I can't do it. So game two, they played a professional team from Europe, won 93-71 after trailing double digits, came back and dominated that game. I think there was a 70-13 or 70-14 run by the Indiana Hoosiers to get that 22-point victory. Game three was a lot tighter. It got down by even bigger double digits in the first half, rallied back late in the last 6 minutes to win 81-80 and have a 3-game sweep in Puerto Rico. Ryan, you mentioned it a little bit in your opening. What can we take away? Not many of us saw how they played or what they did. We have to rely on the reports of the awesome media that were down there tweeting and podcasting afterwards. But as you sit here tonight, football season's upon us, but basketball's a couple months away. What are your main takeaways?
Yeah, I just think, as I said in the opening, I think that just everything is faster, more urgent, a lot more spacing, which we've talked about, just looking at clips on our last show, is just how much more they are, leaning into stuff like that. And I think that it's going to lead to a much more exciting brand of basketball, and we'll see how it plays against, with so many new players in a new system, how it plays when they actually get down to it. But I think that up-tempo, speed, spacing, all things from modern basketball, the things we've kind of been begging for the last decade almost. And it seems like they've got all of them. And they've got a lot of players who are, they may not have the size, but they've got the quickness, the athleticism, the attacking mentality that you want to have. And also I saw a lot of guys making an extra pass and swinging the ball around and not a lot of the ball was not stationary very often. And I'm sure you're going to get some of that as guys get used to playing together and they don't know where each other are and all that stuff. You're going to run into that. Good defenses can stop the ball, stop ball movement and all that stuff. But you need to have that ball movement to create open shots, to create open driving lanes, to create open, guys who are coming off cuts and things like that to open up other things. And I think that's what it looks like this is. And again, not saying it's going to be perfect. We have limited views on what this is. But from what we saw, the signs are all there that this is going to be a positive and that this is a step forward in the right direction for the program, a step forward in the right for just Indiana basketball in general. And yeah, I think it was all positive coming out of there. And again, you don't want to get down double digits to a team and have to crawl your way back in like that, but they did, and they made it work.
Also positive is our two special guests who have just popped in. Galen Clavio of Crimson Cast fame and a lot of other fame, and then the best bracketologist around, Andy Bottoms, has joined us. Gentlemen, we're just talking general thoughts of IU basketball. I know, Galen, I don't know how long you have to be with us. We do want to promote your stuff, so give me a signal. If you want to stay through the last two segments, that's fine. We were going to talk about our podcast network in segment 3, but we can move that up if you need to. Just general thoughts about what we've kind of seen from Indiana basketball after Puerto Rico. I'll start with you, Galen. Your thoughts?
Yeah, sorry, I don't have my normal mic setup going here. I'm off the AirPods, but
You look like a man of leisure right now, Galen.
I'm a man who just produced an hour-long television show on IUS TV. We were doing a live show from Memorial Stadium, which was awesome. The kids did great. But yes, got my feet kicked up. And look, I thought, as I heard Ryan say, as I was waiting in the waiting room there, everything coming out of that Puerto Rico visit was positive. And I think ultimately what we have to remember is there's a lot of building that needs to be done, not just in terms of how the team's playing, but the relationships between the guys and the coaching staff. This is a new group, and they're learning how to play with each other. They're learning what their strengths and weaknesses are. I don't think any of us know how good this team is going to be. There's no metrics that can accurately measure a team that returns 0 players and integrates a bunch of players from a bunch of different levels of there's just a lot there. And so I think ultimately the more that we wait and see and just accept that the vibes are good right now, that the team seems to be meshing, that the coaching staff seems to be embedding themselves in this community, like those are the things I'm most interested in right now. And I think trying to nitpick practice footage or random things that we're seeing from games that weren't even televised on purpose probably doesn't do anybody a whole lot of good at this point.
Yeah, I think the general direction of what we can gather from these games is the most important thing. I agree with you, Galen, on that. The ability to come back is a good sign. Does that mean they're always going to come back in every game? No. But the ability to adjust, the ability to fight in a situation where they really could have taken that last game off, those are the movement, as Ryan said. Those are the things I think I'm focusing on, but there are no guarantees that plays in the regular season the way we would want it to, but it is a good start. Andy, welcome to the show, my friend. How are you doing this evening, and what are you thinking about Indiana basketball after the Puerto Rico trip?
I'm doing well. Glad Galen found time where he wasn't recording IU football podcast to be with us. All kidding aside, tons of good stuff this week. I think I've caught up on everything except probably when I get off of here, there'll be 3 more in the feed. But the Mitchell Page, Olivia Ray one was great. Listened to you and Scott today and Jeremy Gray, which was awesome. And then listened to the Rhett Lewis one on my way home. So really good stuff. Obviously tons of excitement for IU football. So I appreciate the busiest man in podcasting in Bloomington to be able to grace us with his presence for this period of time. So good stuff there. From a basketball perspective, I think lots of good things to take away from a trip like that. You look at the off-court stuff that they were able to do, getting this group of guys together that as Galen said, had never been together playing, and I think they'll probably look back on this and find some things that, hey, when we were able to band together and come back in some of these games, take the competition for what it's worth, but those are some good experiences that they'll be able to fall back on. And so I think you had a handful of guys who probably performed maybe better than you would have thought. A few guys who maybe you got questions about, and I don't know that you read too much into any of those things, but great opportunity for the program to be out there. And I think a lot of continuing to build the positive momentum of these guys together. And I think at the very least, a lot of what it feels like you saw or heard about were the things that DeVries preached in terms of togetherness, in terms of effort and those things. And like that showed up. And I think if you want to draw parallels between what he's doing and what Cignetti did with IU football, like Cignetti came in and said, this is what our team is going to be. And they came out and that's exactly what they were. And I think we've had a lot of times over the last few years where it's, hey, this is what we're going to do. And everybody reads into comments and thinks that this is going to be this way and whatever. So far, for me, it feels like DeVries has delivered on what he said the team's going to be about and what the identity is going to be. Easy to say that now in the summer, maybe not as easy to say that when you're in East Lansing or the Kohl Center in the middle of February, but we'll see what happens then. But I think, always good to see the things that are preached about and talked about actually show up. And so I'll take that as an early win in my book.
You had to bring up the Kohl Center before the preseason.
We have to face it. We got to face
Andy,
it, Coach.
Yeah.
We can't.
You know how I feel about the Kohl Center.
But look who's joining us now. We have Jerod Morris. We have 5 people in the panel. Jerod, I want to get your thoughts. Then I'm going to come back to you, Galen, and I want you to talk about what you have coming up special for Crimson Cast, and then we can all just keep talking as long as we want. But Jerod, as you've watched and listened, and I know we haven't done much, but how are you feeling about Indiana basketball here this August day?
I just want to say I feel like things are much more stable with Galen on his couch as opposed to speeding back from Huber's Winery on this episode.
Exactly.
So that's certainly nice.
So, there will be no tickets tonight, huh?
The one arrest in assembly call history. Shockingly.
I should have just retired at that point. I'm not ever going to top it again.
No.
Nor do I want to try.
No, you don't. No, you don't. I echo a lot of what you guys say. I feel good about something that I wasn't there for and didn't see. That's kind of where it is. It's one of those things. I was able to get some reports from some people who were there. Everything is what you would hope it to be. It kind of feels like we have a college basketball program again, which is a bit of a breath of fresh air from how things were run the last 4 years. I think. Let's clarify. Last 8 years. Let's be real. It's kind of. Well, no, I mean
from
before
the college
Woodson, we had a college basketball program. It just wasn't a good one. And then the last few years, we had a basketball program of some kind that was occasionally good, but was always seemed a little bit chaotic. So it just seems like things have stabilized. It feels like we're just kind of redeveloping into what a modern college basketball program should look like. That is great. Just from a stylistic perspective, it's nice to be, reading things and hearing reports, and everything kind of starts with the backcourt instead of things starting from the front court. And so that's nice to be a guard perimeter kind of driven and oriented team again. Obviously now, we're going to flip. And so we may have some issues defending the rim, and we may have some issues, doing certain things that we've kind of taken for granted. But I think, as we've talked about for the last 7-8 years, those are the problems I'd rather have as opposed to the problems that we have had. And so just seeing some of the 3-point volume, seeing, the kind of skill that we have back there is very, very encouraging. And then I thought, just from an individual standpoint, it really seemed like all the reports on, and maybe you guys covered this already, so just stop me if you've already talked about this, but it seemed like all the reports on Trent Sisley were really positive. And that's nice to see, a freshman going overseas, playing against guys who are professionals. It sounded like for him to really, do a nice job there with all the new teammates he was playing with is encouraging for the future. So, I mean, I don't know how good this is going to be. I don't even really know what my expectations should be. I just feel like I'm going to enjoy watching Indiana basketball more than I have in a while. And for right now, that is plenty to keep me excited and interested.
Well, you mentioned Sicily, Jarrett. Sorry to jump in, Coach, but you mentioned Sicily, and we didn't really talk. We didn't. Yeah, no, I'm not. We didn't.
Ryan's eyes lit up. There's 4 people to interrupt now. It's amazing. This is like his.
I've been
like
waiting
Christmas.
so long for this. No, we didn't talk about Sicily a whole lot because there's so much to talk about from those games and the boxer stuff. But one thing we did mention is Sicily's got a perfect guy to learn from, at least for this year, and that's Tucker DeVries. I mean, it seems like their games may not be one-to-one completely similar, but if you're going to be an inside-out, taller guy who's going to, with that same kind of build, the same kind of skill set you're walking into college with, just become his shadow for a year. And whatever you can produce, I mean, they're not going to be relying on him for huge minutes, certainly in their projection. Maybe he surprises and becomes a very key rotation player, but he really has a guy in front of him that is just like, that's what you can become in college if you just sort of play like that. And obviously, develop all the things you need to develop, but you watch them play a little bit from those highlights and you could see there are those similarities that you could draw together.
So we'll come back. We'll come back to some player talk, but I do want to come to you, Galen. I know you've been real busy all week, and football season's upon us, and we have football weather. We have Crimson Cast. We have Crimson Cash. We have the big red carpet, and we also have a live show coming up, is what I'm hearing. Holy cow! Has the Back Home Network gone just incredibly crazy with Indiana football? It's all yours, Galen. Promote away, share away. Tell us how great everything is. How are things going? Let's hear it.
Thank you, Coach. No, it's a fun and exciting time here at the Back Home Network. As you mentioned, we've launched several new shows, but let me start with the live show and kind of work our way backwards from there. We had this idea back a couple of months ago. It's like, what would it be like if we took the Crimson Cast podcast and put it on stage? We've tried doing live shows before. You guys have all been part of that. We love going to upstairs. We love going to Switchyard. It's just real hard to hear anything. And those sound systems are not really built to be able to give people what they want, which is the kind of experience you get in the podcast, but in a live setting. So we decided to take the leap. We're renting out the Buskirk Chumley Theater, which of course is that theater on Kirkwood Avenue right next to Farm and right down the street from Uptown. And we're going to do Crimson Cast live. And we're excited. Like, we got a bunch of people coming. Ryan is going to be there. I think Bob and certainly Bob's going to be there. I think Mike's going to be there as well from X's and Joe's. We got Mitchell Page is going to be joining us. Believe now, I'm pretty sure we've got Griffin Gonzalez is going to join us for at least part of the show as well. We just want people to come out, celebrate IU football, enjoy talking about it with us, and it puts us in a position where we can have the audience be a little more participatory during the show. And I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So tickets are on sale. You can go to the Buskirk Chumley Theater box office link and search for Crimson Cast Live. Jerod was nice enough to send out a message on the Assembly Call newsletter. If you use the code Bison Club, you can get some discounted tickets. We'll have a discount coming up for IU students as well. And we just hope we get a bunch of people out there. So if you're on the fence about it, or you're planning on being in town for the football game the next day, we'd love to have you there. It should be a lot of fun. Really looking forward to it.
I think it's a great idea. I'll be joining you guys too. I'll be down there. I think I'm bringing a couple people, so get your tickets. I think it's a great thing. Talk a little bit, please, about football weather. So if people haven't caught that, or the big red carpet, two really good new podcasts.
Thank you. Yeah, we've tried launching some new shows. We've been talking about that for a while as well, and it just feels like the Back Home Network should be the place that you go for anything related to IU sports or culture. So football weather was actually Matt Blaska's idea, and Matt's been part of the network and part of the Crimson Cast setup since the early days back in the Blog Talk Radio days. He used to be our call screener.
We remember those.
Oh, yeah. So he was like, I'd love to do a college football show on a weekly basis that covers things from a national perspective, which I think we need now. We know from having been in the college football playoff, we got to keep up on what's going on with the SEC and what else is going on in the Big Ten. And I, for one, am tired of only getting my college football filtered through the SEC lens. So this is more of a Midwestern. I'm a Midwesterner at heart, and in fact, I'm from Indiana originally. Matt's from New Jersey, went to college in Pennsylvania. So we're excited to be able to bring that perspective every week. We normally record on Sunday or Monday, so that's on early on in the week. The Big Red Carpet, this was an idea that Rhett Lewis and I had talked about a few months ago. Rhett from sideline reporting with Big Ten Network. He was color commentator on IU football for a couple of years. He's been on NFL Network for years. He played at IU. What a perfect match for a weekly show. I mean, you've got the Crimson Cast show on Sunday mornings. That'll never go away. But Monday is sometimes a more level-headed and clear look back at what happened during the weekend. And that's really something in short supply on the Back Home Network, is sober analysis of what's going on with anything. We are very much in the moment across the board. So we're excited to have Red on board with this. And again, he's going to be doing it every Monday. And, I'd be remiss if I didn't also mention Sideline Stories. We got a big interview coming up next week. Trisha Whitaker, Sydney Parrish, bringing a sports and lifestyle perspective. They've already had Lily King on. They had a great interview with Joe Buck that released a couple of weeks ago. So hopefully you're all enjoying all of these new shows, and hopefully they're adding positively to your podcast RSS feed or on YouTube, where we really would like to see a lot of you watching the shows.
Yeah, and if you haven't started listening to some of those shows, you gotta start, because it's just really good stuff. Galen, thank you for doing that. Thank you for sharing. The Joe Buck interview was outstanding. Just an outstanding interview. A lot of good information there. So
I told everybody
for all that.
Galen, kudos to you for putting all these shows together, honestly. But I think that the one thing I've told people, and it's like, everybody listens to podcasts and everybody has their favorites or whatever. I always tell people, give it one try. If it's a show you think, I've already got a bunch in my feed, take the time to give these shows one listen. And if you like it, come back for a second one and see if it grabs you. If you're kind of on the fence, listen to a second, see if it grabs you. Again, we're all in the car. We're all, you have plenty of time. And some of them have just been so good to hear, and it's great to hear the quality of shows that are on this network, and you deserve a ton of credit for that.
No, thank you, Ryan, and thank you, Coach. I appreciate it. I feel like we got to keep moving forward, because I had a couple of people in different ways. They described Crimson Cast as elite lawn mowing content. And so if there's ways we can create shows where, if you're going to go out and mow the lawn, or I think someone else called it elite dog walking content, like Rick Bozich when we had him on.
It's great pool cleaning content.
Like,
yes.
You're cleaning the house.
Shirts. Get it together.
Yeah. Well,
Come on.
Trust me. So the elite lawn mowing content, the trademark's already in. Okay, don't worry about that, Andy. But no, it's a joy, because one of the great things about working with students here, and actually that's where I was earlier tonight. We launched a new show on IUS TV Sports called Crimson Kickoff, and a big thanks to IU Athletics, a live show from Memorial Stadium from 8 to 9 p.m. for IUS TV Sports, where they're talking football and bringing you interviews. I love launching stuff. And it's always been
You're the guy who loves the press conference, but
I love the first season of anything. So look, it's great, and I just feel fortunate to be partnered with you guys, and the Back Home Network is such a welcoming place for new shows, and I hope the fans enjoy it as well. It's been a great joy.
Very good, very good. Well, Galen, stay with us as long as you want, or if you need to go and rest from your busy schedule Saturday through Sunday, we would understand. But
Coach, I'd love to stick around, but I got a tailgate to prep for on Saturday morning.
That's right. So that is true. I will be stopping by at some point. Hey, and I shared with Eddie, like, the best tailgate advice ever came from you. If you can't hold it in your hand, don't bring it to the tailgate. It eliminates forks and bowls and stuff like that. And so
good.
We've adopted that. And that's
and
great.
don't cook tubed meats on a griddle. That's my other big piece of advice. So, and I just wanted to say, I just wanted to say tubed meats on
I
assembly
know you
call.
did.
It's a
Great
great
phrase.
It's been a long time.
Do we have to mark it?
You're knocking off
down?
first.
That's actually the next show launching on the network. Tubed meats.
Tube meats.
It's coming.
Nice.
That's great.
What is on the menu, Galen, for the tailgate this weekend?
Well, this is why I have to go prep. I have no idea yet. Like, I got to go scout what we're going to be doing. My wife's been like, we should just do burgers and dogs, which violates the tube meat corollary, unfortunately. But, we'll see what we can do. I've got some ideas. I'm going to go to Butcher Block in the morning and see what they've got. And I will have a full spread ready to go. I might have one additional podcast dropping on the Crimson Cast feed tomorrow, but I'm going to leave that as a surprise for everybody.
Ooh, nice.
Very good. Very good.
The man knows a tease.
All right, we're going to get back to talking basketball. We're going to break here and go into segment 3 and talk individual stuff from Puerto Rico and whatever we want. We haven't been together for a while, so we might just talk about life here at the back end as long as we got. So thanks, Galen. Have a good weekend.
See you, Galen.
All right, coming up, we're going to go back to Puerto Rico a little bit and then just talk a little bit of Indiana football, too. Stick with us.
And tubed meats.
All right, I'm just going to go right back into it. Again, thanks, everyone, for being here. Here we go.
This is Nick Zeisloft. I never miss an open 3, and I never miss an episode of The Assembly Call.
All right, welcome back to Assembly Call. I'm the coach, Brian Tonsoni, here with Ryan Phillips, Andy Bottoms, and Jerod Morris. We have the gang back together. We were talking a little bit in just general talk about Puerto Rico. We'll talk a little bit about that. We'll get your thoughts, everyone, on the season. Ryan and I have talked a little bit about wins and losses early. We'd love to get Andy and Jerod your thoughts on that, and then anything else that we want to talk about here on the show before we wrap things up. I jotted down a couple things that I took away. I'm really interested in the Connerway kid at the point guard. I thought he had a really good run in Puerto Rico, again, without seeing the tape. We know Wilkerson and DeVries can score. Connerway and his ball pressure helped a couple of those comebacks. And he was able to score at the rim in the first half of one of those games when they took away Wilkerson and DeVries, and I think that's going to be important. And then I'm kind of fascinated with Reed Bailey and his versatility as he's not really a true stretch 4 or stretch 5. I don't know if he shoots the 3 that good, but he does have the threat of playing outside and passing the basketball. So any thoughts? I'll come to you, Ryan, first. We were talking Connerway earlier. Your thoughts on Tayton?
Just quick, man. I mean, on both ends, I think. And his the ball pressure defensively, I think is going to, we've talked about this before about the lack of size on the back end of the roster. I think that the ball pressure is going to become that much more important when it comes to that, to make sure that they don't get quick looks inside. They don't get easy drives inside, that you don't have an easy passing lane. And I think that you saw on the highlights, and again, we're adjust for competition. We don't know what the competition was, but you saw video of him just right up in the opposing guards and just all over them with his, he was, we hate to use the word here sometimes, we always laugh about, but the deflections and just all around the ball. And then offensively, I think that he looked better offensively than was advertised. I thought he shot the ball well. His shot looked good. I don't, the numbers, we'll see how they bear out, but his shot looked clean. He was getting to the rim much quicker than expected, and just a very active player. And again, we talked about at the time, these guys have all played college basketball. It's not like you're wondering what a freshman's going to look like. You're wondering what a guy who was great in a lower conference is going to look like moving to the Big Ten. And so these guys are experienced. They have done it at the college basketball. They've done it in college basketball at a high level. They're just moving to a higher level and a higher conference. but they're coming with the confidence that they know they can play college basketball, which I think is different than getting a transfer who was a highly recruited guy who didn't play much at his last place or didn't had a falling out or something like that and comes in with all the talent in the world, but none of the experience. These guys have the experience. And I thought guys like him and Wilkerson and some of these other guys who have done it before done it really well before are going to be interesting to watch to see how they adjust to that higher level, because again, they're grown-ups and they've done this before.
Jerod, I'm going to throw this one up as a softball to you because I know you like this topic. But one of the things that happened in the third game that I read about was that pro team took away Wilkerson and DeVries. I mean, just kind of denied them. And then that's why when Conaway was able to score at the rim. But the adjustment was made to put those players in better movement. Maybe it was instruction. Maybe they weren't moving as well or whatever. But in the second half, when they made the comeback, it was said that they ran different things and moved Wilkerson and DeVries in different ways, and all of a sudden those guys were able to score some points, and what do you know, Indiana was able to come back. Now, that's shooting and that's movement, and I know, Jerod, those are two words that you're going to really like and enjoy, and we've talked before already about this, but we're now seeing some evidence of it.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, that's why, again – none of us know what this first season is going to look like. Like, I think I saw, I don't know if it was Three Man Weave or somebody, put some rankings out. And I think they had Indiana like 26th or something, and it seems like most of the people are kind of ranking Indiana maybe in that area, 25, 35, whatever. And so, we're going to have to see how all this works, what kind of functional depth Indiana actually has with some of these guys, all that. But I think at least for the first year, the results matter. Like, obviously, I think we all expect that Indiana needs to at least be competing for an NCAA tournament berth, but it's going to be different. And so even if the results aren't what we want, it's going to be a lot of the things that we've been asking for from an offensive standpoint. Does this look like what a modern college basketball offense looks like? Then you can just tell from DeVries' previous stops that it is going to look like that. Now, I think we all think that the shooting is going to be a big strength when you look at Wilkerson's track record, when you look at DeVries' track record, but how is Indiana going to get other buckets? When teams take those guys away, do we have enough drivers? Do we have ways to get buckets inside? That's going to be a big question. And so, just seeing that even early on, when clearly they don't have everything installed and these guys haven't played together and developed chemistry, to the extent that they were able to make some adjustments and do some effective things to win a basketball game, that's a nice experience to have early on. And so, it's easy to say now when we're here on August 28th and we're still months away from a game. If we get into the second game and Indiana's, losing by 3 to someone they should be beating late, we're all going to be like, wait, what's going on here? As one of my friends put it, it's like shooting is going to be a real strength, but also with the amount of threes that they're going to take, it's very possible that they're going to kill some teams by making a lot of threes, and they're going to get killed on nights when the threes aren't falling. And so we probably need to prepare ourselves a little bit for that. But again, I just think seeing the kind of inversion that we've wanted of it being backcourt driven and shooting driven, I think that's going to earn some patience in the first year, because you're seeing the kind of style that we've all been wanting. And I think it'll be one of those things where the vision of, hey, when we get dudes, I see how that was one of the problems with Woodson and the Woodson era is, like, we knew that we were trying to go after like these really talented guys, but we would often come on here and be like, okay, but how are they going to have space to operate? How are we going to get them shots, even if we get them? And I think the difference, what I'm anticipating the difference being next year, is us saying, okay, we're a little bit undermanned in some of these games, but I can see the vision. And I can see how when you plug more talented guys into this, it's going to work because they're going to get shots. They're going to have space, all these different things. And so I think it's going to be a little bit easier to deal with struggles because there's going to be a vision that we buy into. Whereas in the past, it's like, man, we grasped onto any piece of success possible because we knew there was going to be losing, and it wasn't really a vision that a lot of us believed in. And so that's kind of what I'm anticipating. And, we have to see, but that's coming out of Puerto Rico, and just hearing what I heard, everything that I heard kind of fit in with that, basically.
You make a great point. The first half deficits, not many threes going in, not shooting a good percentage, you get down big. But on the counter to that is the ability to come back. The math problem we've always talked about, you've kind of hinted upon. you get hot, you can make up a deficit real quickly too. So that, and I think I put in the run sheet the turnovers and the ability. You don't like getting behind, but part of that is when you're high volume 3 and you're missing and the other team's hitting, you might fall behind, but it also gives you the confidence that you can make up a deficit a lot quicker than if you were a 2-point at the rim dependent thing. Andy, I'm going to come to you. Passing. You've coached many youth leagues. I've coached some basketball, all different levels than college basketball, obviously. We say that all the time. But this team seems to like to pass. Ryan brought it up early, the videos of the extra passes on the perimeters. We have a guy in Reed Bailey who can pass out of the 5. Trace Jackson-Davis could do that a little bit, but it looks like it's going to be an emphasis. And the game-winning basket was a drive and then help defense and a dump off to a corner diver for the dunk. Again, we haven't seen long periods of time, but it seems like passing is important. Your thoughts on that aspect of kind of what we saw in Puerto Rico?
Yeah, I think that goes hand in hand with some of the spacing that was talked about, and guys being able to recognize what to do, and the spacing on that last play was a big part of it. You get into the lane, spread things out a little bit, get a nice cut, and you get a basket. I think it seems like, and DeVries has talked about this, it seems like early signs of an unselfish team trying to make passes to get guys better shots. Hard to say based on the highlights you see, because you're only seeing the shots that go in. Now somebody could have passed up a good shot and passed to somebody who missed and you didn't see it. So it's kind of tough to say in some of those cases, the plays that you have, but you did see that as the theme of like ball movement and things like that, where you got a bunch of guys who there's not necessarily I think we would all expect DeVries and Wilkerson to be the leading scorers, but I don't think you've got guys who seem selfish. It seems like early on, for not having played a lot together, they had a sense of what reads they wanted to make and where people were. And I think that's an early positive sign. If they can build on that, then I think it's, really, really important. And one thing, just to go back to Connerway, and I think this is true of a lot of these guys, is that you're kind of trying to figure out of these guys, you have, as you guys mentioned, guys who have really succeeded at lower levels and different conferences. And I think you always find that as, which guys are really adamant about coming up and proving that they belong at that level and should have always been there. And I think a lot of that is attitude. We saw that again, probably like any IU fan, we want to find any way to draw parallels between the football program and the other, but like, you see some of these guys from James Madison who are just up here to prove that they belong, that they didn't get recruited by the same people, they didn't do whatever, but from an attitude standpoint, they really come up and try to exert their will. And there's lots of examples on this campus right now of guys who people didn't think could play at that level, went a different route, and took whatever way they did to get to Bloomington and to really be able to do that. And Connerway, to me, feels like a guy, and I think this starts on the defensive end, of just having that kind of attitude of really being aggressive and attacking. And the free throw numbers that, the number of times he got to the line showed that. And I think the outside shot stuff is encouraging, as Ryan said. Low volume, small sample size, all those kinds of things. That was the main question about him. So for 6 3-pointers or whatever he took when he was in Puerto Rico, answered some of that question. But I just think from a mentality standpoint, I think the more guys you have like that are out there to prove something at this level, not in a selfish way, not in a whatever, but just showing up and working hard, I think that'll serve him well. And I think he really embodies that.
For me, another example of, I think, just taking a general look, there was some foul trouble in these games. Enright got in foul trouble. There were some questions about the international refs and all of those things. And there were times when your best players weren't scoring and Indiana won 3 games. And again, competition, all that. But it does show a difference of not just relying on 1 or 2 types of players and then the others feed off. Like, there's a lot of options here. It might not be what it looks like in 4 or 5 years with recruiting, but you can go many different ways. Indiana stays in a game with Connerway scoring 18 points, mostly at the rim, and their 2 main scorers not doing anything. Then they come back and those 2 main scorers get something going. you have a center who's taking the ball the full length of the court and scoring. And one of the key words I think that I heard tonight is different. It is different. It is collegiate. It is modern. Those types of words are being talked about Indiana basketball, and I think we'll start seeing that October 17th with the Marion exhibition and the Baylor exhibition. You know, we get that on television, and obviously the regular season games. I think you don't win in the summer. You build in the summer, but you don't win in the summer. You got to win on the hard court. But I think Coach DeVries has done a good job for having to turn over the entire roster. And as I mentioned in the banner moment, the ability to communicate, you didn't know with his personality when he first interviewed, but he's going to, the Home Field Apparel store, as I mentioned, and he's helping people move in, and just the listening to his press conferences where he's talking basketball, that's refreshing. And obviously we want wins with that as well. Any last
he doesn't have to be
just...
Robin Williams. He just needs to level with IU fans and talk ball. Really, show up, talk some basketball, and we're good.
I know Alex.
I think some
Alex
of that stuff's
really
a little bit.
I'm sorry, I'm pulling a Ryan there. It must be the Italian connection. Alex was really happy to be able to get 30 minutes in his office, and he said he was just really genuine talking about the team. There was no ego. There was no nothing. It was no, I got to impress a reporter. I got to be mad at a reporter because, we know those professional reporters. But it's refreshing. So sorry, Jerod, to interrupt.
No. I'm with you. Yeah, I think he's doing all the right things.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's less personality, it's more disposition. I think that's how this has been misframed a little bit. Is Archie just didn't quite have the right disposition for the job because he didn't really want to do that stuff. I think DeVries he seems fine doing that stuff, but again, he's not like John Calipari where he's going to be like probably having all kinds of funny clips and going viral.
Yeah,
but Indiana doesn't need that. We just need a coach that's going to coach a modern style, take advantage of the resources that we have, and put something out there that fans are going to like, and I think so far, all that stuff has been fine. There's no red flags there, at least that I've seen.
Yeah. And
don't like, to me, it's
interrupted, man.
Don't look, just don't look like you're uncomfortable all the time, and don't act like you're smarter than everybody all the time. It's not that hard.
No, he's talking to you, Ryan.
I was going to say, was that aimed at me?
Oh, sorry.
How do you feel about DeVries?
Oh, sorry. I thought we were doing a different segment. My bad.
No, if you look at some of the great championship coaches of the last decade, they don't necessarily all have these wild out there great personalities. Not everyone's Dan Hurley, or thank God, or like you said, Calipari.
Noted great personality.
Hey, a guy that everybody really liked.
Very humble.
A guy that everybody really liked. Brad Stevens doesn't have he doesn't have this huge out there personality. The guy that yeah, exactly. Thank you. He's this guy. He was coached in the state of Indiana. I don't know if you guys heard about him. But that's not a requirement for a successful college basketball coach, or successful coach. Nick, for example, Nick Saban does not have a magnetic personality. He's one of the greatest coaches of all time, and I actually like him now more as a broadcaster than I did when he was a head coach. But that's not a requirement. And somehow I think that got tossed in. It's like, people want that politician quality to it. I want a guy who wins on the basketball court. I don't care what he's like as far as his personality goes. Now, go do all the things you're supposed to do, like you said, Jerod, and, understand and not look at it like this is an annoying thing I have to deal with, but actually embrace the whole job. Yes. But you don't have to be a comedian to be a college basketball coach.
Well said.
Yeah, well said. Okay, so right. I want to pick up on something, Coach, real quick that Andy said, because I think it was interesting. Where I think it was Andy that was talking about guys that have a chip on their shoulder and they're coming to prove themselves. And with football, there's all these guys who came up from a lower level and have been successful. So I just saw someone just posted this in Discord. So this is Jake Butt's top 20 Big Ten football players. Okay, so Jake Butt, who analyzes football for the Big Ten Network. Top 20 Big Ten.
No relation to me, just to be clear.
No relation to you. Okay, so here's something interesting. There are 3 teams on this list of the top 20 who have 4 players. Can you name the 3 teams with 4 players on Jake Butt's list?
And what's the list? Wait, explain the list
Top
again.
20 Big Ten football players. So any position, top 20 players.
Of all time?
3 teams have 4, have 4
coming
people on the
coming
list.
into this year.
Ohio State and
This
Michigan. Give me 2 of them.
No, neither of them are one of the teams. And in fact, Michigan doesn't have anybody in the top 20.
What?
Well, it's got to be Indiana.
Context
Jake
clues
Butt-
would suggest that, Coach.
Jake Butt really trying to distance himself from the fact that he went to Michigan by leaving guys off the list.
Smart.
I saw that
Indiana
IU
is one of them.
I
Coach
saw
is
that
right.
IU was because I happened to
Right.
see the same thing on my phone during the show, but I didn't look at the
Illinois?
rest of it.
No, Illinois has 1.
Penn State, Oregon.
Penn State
would
has
those be the
4.
other 2?
Oregon has 4. But here's
So
the
is
interesting
Ohio
thing.
Wait, did you say Ohio State's not on it?
Ohio State has 3, and they have the top 2, Jeremiah Smith and Caleb Downs.
Okay, I assumed there would be 2 more, like a lineman I'd never heard of. That
I would
be
have
on there.
assumed that as well. By the end of the year, they may have more. But here's the larger point, okay? I'm going to name 4 players. Tell me what they all have in common. These are Indiana's 4 players. Elijah Surratt, Aiden Fisher, Mikhail Kamara, D'Angelo Ponce. What do they all have in common that goes around with just what we were talking about with basketball?
Transferred up.
Transferred
transferred
up.
up.
And now they are 4 of the top 20 players in, at worst, the second worst conference in the country. Guys with a chip on their shoulder who were identified by a coach who had a track record of success, put those guys in a position to succeed and help them develop. So again, now look, are all these basketball players going to be these equivalents? Probably not. But I mean, Tucker DeVries can do some things. Lamar Wilkerson can do some things. So, there at least is a parallel there for, kind of looking at what the formula looks like for this IU basketball team to be successful. And they're obviously going to have to make up for some deficiencies with just playing hard. And that's the other thing that I think is important to mention. When Scott Dolson originally talked about why he hired Darren DeVries, what was the anecdote he mentioned that really stuck out? It was seeing those guys. Where did Indiana play last year? It was Maui. Wait, where did we go? No, Atlantis. We played in Atlantis early in the season.
Yes.
And West Virginia was there. And I think they were dealing with injuries at the time. But, what did Scott Dolson say? He watched them play and just couldn't believe how hard they played. And so that's the other thing too. When you have a team that has confidence in themselves offensively and has some firepower and that is going to play hard for 40 minutes, like, roll the balls out. I'll take my chances with that team, and let's, allow, we need some rim protection. We got to get more balance, like all this stuff that he's going to have to develop on the recruiting trail. But there's a lot to like and buy into here for year one. And, maybe, there is a pathway for this thing to be successful, but even if it's not as successful in wins and losses, I am really starting to feel confident that there's going to be a foundation laid that we can really believe in and not talk ourselves into, because all of us on this show have made the mistake in the past of trying to talk ourselves into what we saw with Archie and trying to talk ourselves into what we saw with Woodson. And sometimes we'd even talk about it on the show and be texting each other like, man, this doesn't quite feel right, but I want to believe in it. And I think some of the things we're seeing now are just a little bit easier to just kind of buy into and be like, okay, let's see this through, So again, it's easy to talk is cheap in August. And so we'll see what happens when the season comes around. But I just continue to be encouraged by what it feels like we're going to see when they're actually out there playing.
How many times Indiana in the last 4 years got blown out, and I know they made a couple comeback wins, and it is Puerto Rico. But it does say that the kids play hard, because when you're on the 8th day on the island and on the beach and doing all those things and you're down 20, you could just say, okay, we're going to lose this one. We'll go back and fix stuff, right? But no, they showed some fight. Now, they could have fought and got beaten at the end too, but I think that speaks to what you're saying too. Like, this team is going to play hard, and it looks like now they're going to play hard whether they're up 20 or down 20. They may not play well. They may not execute. They may not guard. But I think that's going to be a key for getting to the tournament.
They'll guard. I mean, we may give up some points, but I think they're going to play hard defensively, and play together. And then we'll just see. But we're not going to be able to protect the rim. And there's going to be some consistent themes, I think, that we come on and are a little frustrated by. But again, it's, do you buy into the vision? And I think the basketball vision will just be easier for all IU fans to buy into. Hopefully.
So how are we feeling about Indiana football? Record-wise, or
strong to quite strong,
playoff?
I would say.
I said
Ryan and I both said about 8 or 9. We think it's going to be 8 or 9. There's some real tough road games where you can play well and compete and come out with a loss that we didn't quite have last year.
I said 8. But 8 wins with 2 swing games. I think that could go. Like Illinois is ranked 12. You get them at home early. Maybe that's the time to get them and getting them at home. But that's kind of like a pick 'em for me. So it could be 9 if they get that. But then, you're going to Oregon, you're going to Penn State the week after Illinois, you have to go to Iowa, which is always a tough place to play. Even if they're not good, it still stinks to play there. So that it's a tougher schedule. And again, the other thing is you're integrating a lot of new key pieces. So how do it all depends on how quickly they transition.
I think it's very possible that this team is actually better than last year's and doesn't have as good of a record.
I would agree.
And part of that is just schedule and some of the other things. But obviously you got to keep Mendoza healthy, but he looks like he's going to be a really good player. You've got all these other guys with experience, some good young players, but there's going to be some tough games there. So, I think they could be a really good team that wins 8 or 9 games. And then you just, hey, if everything falls like it did last year, then maybe you pick up a couple of those extra ones and it's another just amazing season. But it is nice going into an IU football season and just feeling we're going to be rock solid, Yeah. Like we are going to be solid. We're probably not going to beat ourselves, but we may not have quite enough talent to beat XYZ team. But that's a hell of a spot for IU football to be in, So
a bigger question, Andy, you guys going to come over for a game this year or 2?
Yeah, we are going to the Michigan State game. We got my mom ticket to take her for her birthday because we were trying to figure out do you get anything else? Let's go do something. So we will be there for that one for sure. I don't know if any of the others will work out, but we've got tickets and parking pass for that one. So we'll definitely be there for one. A lot of the early ones we've got soccer related things here. So but the later ones are more of a possibility.
Very good. Ryan, you're flying in for the show on Friday, right? Or next Friday.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good to see you. Very good.
Thanks, buddy. Quick. It's going to be a quick turnaround. I fly in Thursday. I'm around Friday, and then I leave Saturday, so I'm not even staying for the game. But I have to get back for week 1. NFL Sunday, so gonna be a quick one, bit of a whirlwind, but I'm looking forward to it. It's the first time I've been to Bloomington in the fall in God knows how long. And after going in the winter for 9 straight years or something like that, that'll
be nice.
Yeah, I need some nice weather in Bloomington, so please hold out for me.
Did we celebrate your front page byline from earlier today?
I got the newser when Micah Parsons got traded. So, sat on front page SI for a while. I was pretty excited about that. I was going to type in there that I've got about, probably 10 more minutes because Micah Parsons might breathe again and we might have to write about it. So, we've done probably 50 stories on this because there's so many angles to go with, but I was talking.
Giving Jerry exactly what he wants.
This is, we obviously this is an Indiana podcast, but I was saying, Micah Parsons is the dream. You spend a high pick on a guy. He turns into one of the best players in football. He's a team leader. He likes being where he is, and all he wants is to be paid commensurate with all the other guys. And he's also not only one of the best players, but he also produces, because sometimes a really good player takes away, blockers from other people and the other guys succeed or whatever. He actually puts the numbers up and all of that. It's the dream to get to do that. You pick the guy and he's the best and he wants to be there and he's a leader on and off the field, all that. How do the Cowboys screw that up?
They're the Cowboys.
I mean, you have the dream scenario. It would be like the Chiefs pissing off Patrick Mahomes and trading him for 2 first-round picks, and then in the press conference afterwards being like, well, we'll use these picks to get a new quarterback. It'll be great.
Okay, let's not compare Micah Parsons to Patrick Mahomes.
I'm just using it as an example, Jerod. I'm using it as an example. But you know what I mean? Pick any cornerstone player. and just being like, we're going to tick that guy off and then we're going to trade him. And then after we trade him, be like, hey, we got 2 first-round picks. We'll just replace him. And that's not how it works. And also those first-round picks are going to be – go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say those 2 first-round picks are going to be late in the first round too, because the Packers are definitely going to be playing late into January now.
I'm not sure the Cowboys would know what to do with the picks anyway, no, regardless of when they are. But once you get a good locker room guy like George Pickens that you've acquired over the course of the offseason, I mean, really, what do you need anybody else for? I mean, he's fine. Everything's going to be stable. And
all the Cowboys slander.
Just a disaster, man.
So I got to bust Andy's chops here a little bit. The guy whose team's won 2 Super Bowls in the last 3 years, right, is talking about his rival there.
No,
easy to talk about there.
It's been long. I mean, they did not win 2 in the last 3 years. They've been to 2 in the last 3 years.
Okay, been to 2.
But anyway, yeah, I mean, please,
10?
I'll pull up a chair and watch the Cowboys do stupid stuff all day long. And
most of America will do that.
You don't have to wait that long for it to happen. So it's fine.
Yeah, it's
beautiful. I live 5 minutes from the Star here in Frisco, and so it's just constant.
Ugh.
Although, okay, I will say, have you guys been watching the Cowboys documentary on Netflix?
I haven't yet. No, I watched the one about the cheerleaders though. It's really good. I genuinely, it's really good.
He watched it for the articles. It's fine.
No, my girlfriend and I watch it. It's enjoyable. It is a very
okay.
Good
So look,
show.
I was very skeptical about this documentary, and I am in no way a Cowboys fan at all. We very much love watching the Cowboys fail. It's really, really well done. I'm only halfway through it. It's not quite The Last Dance, but it's close in terms of being an enjoyable watch. Like, because there's just so many compelling characters and storylines from those early 90s Cowboys. And it's fun thinking about just like the time when that was happening, because you had the Jordan Bulls going at the same time, the Cowboys, and then those early 90s IU basketball teams too. I mean, this is like wheelhouse sports time for all of us. And all those characters are larger than life. I hate to say anything positive about it because it's the Cowboys.
I mean, it was 30 years. It was 30 years ago. We can talk positively about it.
Yeah, but it's really,
actually, I refuse to. But
you can't.
I mean, you guys can do what you want, but
yeah, it's outstanding. I highly recommend it. I don't like at worst, you'll just enjoy just like how they put the documentary together because it's just well done. But some of the stories,
one question:
how did those guys win when there's so much nonsense going on there?
One question:
it's good. It's really good.
I always thought the extra character in The Last Dance was the soundtrack. Like, it's one of the best musical attachments to any piece of art I've ever seen. Is the soundtrack good on this one? Is the music good? Or is it just more based on the stories? Like, I thought the music was another character.
I haven't. I mean, the opening song is very noticeable. Okay. I guess I haven't paid that much attention to the music otherwise. So
I'm just curious. I remember that about The Last Dance, and it's the same era. So I was wondering if they kind of did similar things, but definitely a different vibe.
Well, I take that back. There was another song in the last episode that was really good too. So yeah, I mean, I guess there have been some standout musical moments. I mean, all of that like 90s, like classic hip hop stuff with The Last Dance was so just fit so perfectly with the era they were describing. So I'm always curious about that. Okay, here's a question. So, these Last Dance, this Cowboys one is coming out, 25, 30 years after the fact. What's going to be the big documentary in 30 years that comes out about modern day?
Chiefs.
It's got to be Chiefs.
Maybe the Warriors.
Talking football.
Warriors would be good. I mean, yeah. I mean, they've done some stuff about like Kobe Bryant, like the end of his time in the NBA, like, his last couple titles. There's been some little stuff about that, but I think that would be fascinating just because of who he was. But that's more player, not team. I think the Warriors would be a really good one. That would be a really cerebral one, I think. Because I think everybody kind of got along other than, a few moments. But the Chiefs
but you've got Draymond causing all kinds of issues.
But they all defended him for a long time. Maybe the end would be really interesting. But I would say it's going to be the Chiefs. You've got the Taylor Swift tie-in. You've got as much success in a short period of time as any team, has had.
Lots of off-field stuff there too.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, lots. So
okay, so here's a good question
Jacob.
from Jacob.
Jacob has a good-
what IU
good
sports
question
team
here.
would make for the most surprising best documentary? I mean, it's going to be Cignetti rebuilding Indiana football into a power. That's going to make for a great documentary in 25, 30 years. We're still living through it.
I think
You
that
just
would be
want
good.
pure
Last year's
basketball
football would be great.
characters and things like that. And the final Samson year into Crean would be I mean, just from a just wildness standpoint of
I would
things that were going
love-
on and stuff like that. I think that would be
Yeah.
wow.
Having
It would
video
not
from
be
behind the
it would not
scenes.
be nearly as uplifting as the Cignetti football one. But
I mean, I would love to see one on Indiana basketball after 1987. So starting with that next year where Keith Smart and Dean Garrett come back, because that year didn't go great, but then you've got Jay Edwards and then Knight's kind of last great teams and then the unraveling. Like you could put a pretty good documentary there that kind of sets the stage for why Indiana basketball is where it is now.
Yeah, because there've been a few
That'd be a good
about Knight, his exit, but not like the actual basketball teams that led up to it, in that last chapter, sort of. I think the Tom Crean era would be interesting to us, but not nationally. I think, just like the rebuild, the heights they got to with Oladipo and Zeller and those guys and Watford, all those guys. And then sort of the fall, the one great year, and then it being over would be interesting to us, but not nationally.
Heck, if Schwarber keeps hitting home runs, he'll have a documentary all about himself.
There you go.
He should. He's amazing.
That guy's going to make so much money this offseason.
At least compelling would be the Jerry DiNardo era of IU football.
Oh,
if we
God.
wanted to go the opposite side of the spectrum.
Good Lord.
My buddy was in his football class, had the class he taught in Memorial Stadium. He's like, I've never learned less about anything. It's just like
I got to tell you, there's a handful of people from an analyst standpoint that you get on. You're like, I don't really like this guy or whatever. There is nobody that I see when he's on that I'm like, I could not trust this guy's opinion on football any less after watching him here.
Yeah,
watching him on the Big Ten Network is like, what? I mean, really, I cannot take it seriously.
You can tell he got where he was because people enjoyed his personality, not because they thought he was good at his job. I'm sure Jerry's a great guy to sit and have lunch with, but my God,
kind of like Seth Greenberg. He's like the football Seth Greenberg.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah. Only Seth had a little bit of success.
He was always
I guess he made the tournament a couple times.
Yeah, he won some stuff.
He was always in the conversation on Selection Sunday.
That's right.
Well, I think Jerry DiNardo cracked a joke one time that just landed so flat while he was the head coach at IU. He was talking to a group of people and he said, hey, he'd been in the SEC. He's like, how do you tell which player or which tight end on an SEC roster is the starter? And it was a beat and quiet. And he's like, the one who's got the biggest paycheck or something like that. And it was like, that's just such a dumb joke. And I just remember somebody told me that. And I was like, what did he think?
Was there audible booing or was everybody kind of held it together?
He's dodging a tomato. It's just
the
it's
giant
just
hook comes out from the side and yanks him
dumb,
away from the
basic
podium.
joke. And it's just like, Jerry, everyone's done that. Do you got anything else for us? It's just coach the football team. Just coach actually win a game, please. So,
yeah, or maybe in his case, don't coach the football team.
Please don't. No, it's was he Matt LaVecchio? Was that his era?
Oh yeah,
Matt LaVecchio.
I remember
transfer from Notre Dame, right?
They had him. There was some. Right? I remember with him. I feel like I think it was a running back.
Jabron Hamden.
I don't know if it was quarterback. I thought it was running back, but he did the I'm going to alternate these guys series, but it didn't really matter who was doing well, and it was just I remember I was calling it Mr. Rogers football, where I was like, well, you get a turn, and then you get a turn. It doesn't actually matter that one of you is clearly better than the other. We're just
was that with Ben Jarvis, Green Ellis, or one of those?
Yeah,
guys?
it was him, and there was I feel like it was
Green
him
Ellis.
and another running back, and it was one of these guys is far superior to the other. But you just alternate series, whether it mattered or not, or whether no matter how you were doing, it was this is the plan. We're going to alternate these guys, whatever. Just awful.
There is a former IDS writer who is fairly prominent who will remain nameless in this discussion. It's not me. Who had been writing about
You're
how
not
bad
famous.
who had been writing how bad Matt Lavecchio was, and Lavecchio ran into him at a bar and threatened him and said, "You better stop writing." He's like, "I'll stop writing about you being bad when you finally play better." And like 6 people had to hold Lavecchio back.
Well, good for that writer.
Yeah,
Hold your ground.
he
As
may
long
have
as you're
had
being
a few
fair.
at that point, but it was definitely one of those things. But
A couple more quick comments. How about a documentary on Big Ten basketball during the rise of ESPN? That is an underrated but great comment. There were some amazing Big Ten teams back then, because the Fab Five would be in there, the Flying Illini, a lot of great Indiana teams. You had some good Iowa teams back then. Purdue, I guess. Whatever. No one's interested in them. But that would be really cool. That was a great era of Big Ten basketball, like underrated. And then from Justin, okay, I mean, I agree. Like the documentary is going to be on IU football. Who plays Kurt Signetti? Now, I'm going to throw in kind of an underrated, under the radar idea here. Maybe a bit of a deep cut. But anybody who is a fan of Brian Regan, the comedian, they're from kind of the same area, like in Pittsburgh. They have a similar way that they talk. And you know how Signetti sometimes, like, especially when he's doing like a studio show, he doesn't make great eye contact. Right? Like he kind of looks around when he's talking a little bit. If you ever watch Brian Regan do stand up, there's some similarities there. I've always thought that. So that would be my under the radar pick to play. Plus Signetti's funny and Brian Regan's funny. So I think that would be.
But is
Any
he
other
an actor,
ideas for
really?
who would play? I mean, he had like a show back in that era when every comedian got a show. But I don't think it did anything.
If you're going serious, I think a guy like Ethan Hawke could command the character.
Jacob,
Yeah,
nobody
Signetti
plays Signetti. Signetti plays himself. That's probably the best answer.
Yeah.
There he
I mean,
is.
I can kind of see that. But if you're going serious with it, I could see like an Ethan Hawke kind of command the character a little bit. They wouldn't look alike, but it's the presence.
I have no idea. I'm terrible at this kind of thing. I have no ideas.
I am too, but here's who.
Speaking
I
of
would
people
make
who are trying
do
to
it.
look like somebody else, they just did like quite a montage of Raiola and Patrick Mahomes and his like cosplay Mahomes out here throwing it around the ball. But
Hey kid, play better. Then we can talk about that.
Here's who I would force to be Signetti. Shane Gillis, because all the crap he said about IU football. Like, you have to play Signetti in the documentary, in the film, because you deserve it, because you shot your mouth off about IU football. That's what I would say. Doesn't look like
Did you ever
Signetti.
see
Doesn't
his
act like Signetti. Not smart as
couple of
Signetti.
beers? The couple of beers skit on SNL that Shane Gillis did his last time hosting.
Yeah, he's pretty.
Couple of
he's
beers.
pretty
If you haven't seen it, look up "Couple of Beers" by Shane Gillis. It's funny. It's quite funny.
All right, gentlemen,
fun
I think
one.
that's going to
Just
do
fun.
it. Unless you had something else you want to talk about.
we covered a lot of
We all
ground in this last segment.
Jacob
so I think
let's give some props to Eddie. Jacob says, impressed by the production value, guys. We've got comments and pictures. This is incredible. I mean, 14
That's
years
about all
in,
they're
like
that's
this
about all
is-
they're getting tonight, Jared. That's about all
Yeah,
they're
Eddie.
getting.
It was
this
a
is
rough
amazing.
start to the evening, but he's finishing strong. It's not about how you start, it's how you finish.
Yeah, I'm here.
We've gotten like 2 hours worth of content out of like a few tweets and a box score from Puerto Rico. So I mean, we've really stretched that.
And
as far
we
as
missed
it
the
can go.
best IU documentary we didn't even touch. I'm a little disappointed in all of us. The formation and the growth of the assembly call. Like, they need to document.
Do you
that.
want to fall asleep in a theater for 2 hours?
All
No,
right.
now maybe a Crimson Cast.
We're getting
one.
out of
You know,
here.
the Egyptian hackers. You know, all just the fall and rise of Indiana football. That wouldn't be good either. But Galen's arrest for speeding.
Classic.
No?
He just got a ticket. He wasn't arrested. I feel like you guys.
I
have
know,
acted
but it
like,
sounds
Look,
I
better.
feel like you
ticket
guys
is
have
a
acted like
notice
he was
to appear.
imprisoned.
I know, but like 20 years from now, the story has to be embellished and be even
We
better.
flew in
Like,
and
he
broke him out of
resisted
jail.
arrest.
Like,
Yeah, he resisted arrest. It was like Little Nas X when he's like walking naked through the street, and so that's what Galen was doing with the cone on his head. Like the
My
story
favorite
just
We had to have an
keeps getting better.
emergency GoFundMe to get him out of jail.
Yeah,
My favorite part
exactly.
of all of
Donation
that
or push.
is Coach
Yes.
Tonsoni trying to play everybody out. And it just turned
Yeah,
into chaos, and he just killed the audio.
Yeah.
I had the show outro going, and no one let me get there. That's all right.
He's ready to get to. He's got things to do. Let's do it.
Uh,
All right, guys. Hey, 4 of us
Cool.
on a show together.
it's a beautiful thing.
Let's do it again.
Good to be back together. All right, here
Yes, it
goes the
is.
outro.
Later, guys.
All right. See you, Ryan.
Hey, if you want to see us do the show live, join us at assemblycall.com on, any night that we choose. Used to be Thursday nights for the live broadcast of our Assembly Call radio recording. Thanks to Bob Thompson for producing our music, and thanks to John Ringer of rigdesign.com for designing all our logos. And thank you for listening. Until then,
take it from me, Yogi Ferrell. Keep your elbows in and your eyes on the rim. And go Hoosiers.
Yogi.
Catch me if you can, Coach T.
you bet, Mrs. T.
I was impressed with your commitment to actually following through with the true outro.
That's good.
Yeah, same.
I appreciate it.
Good
as well,
for you.
Coach.
Went right back at it. It was like undeterred. Let's go try it again.
Stuff's got to get done.
That's
This is
right.
true. This is true. All right.
That's right. Well, good to be back on here, fellas. Good luck in your fantasy football drafts this weekend, if you're drafting this weekend.
Yep.
As I know
Got
many
mine
people
done.
are. Very nice. You have any hot tips? You have
No.
any
I'm
guys
not
that you're
good
planting
at
your
it.
flag on? No.
Well, my son introduced me to this dynasty league where you draft players once and then all you do is draft rookies after, and you have free agents and everything. I thought I'd hate it. I am addicted to that. Right. So
I can see that.
It's like we're trading in May draft picks. You can trade 28 draft picks. It feels just like a general manager. So much so that I'm not really interested in the 1-year leagues anymore as much, right? But it's So now I started my own. I'm in 2 of those dynasty leagues, and I know more about the 4th string rookie in Seattle's wide receiver room than I ever kind of wanted to. But that's.
I bet
don't
you're
have
better
too
at
many
it than
good
Jerry
takes.
Jones is in real life.
Oh, yeah, that's not saying much.
You're more of a GM than Jerry is.
Yeah. Very
a
good.
low bar.
Hey, I did see a bowl prediction for
Yes, it
Indiana
is.
versus Texas A&M, and I expect the
In
Morrises
a
to
bowl
fly
game?
into
I can
Tampa.
see that. I could see that. Two programs in very kind of similar states, I think.
Yeah.
That I think are both going to be rock solid. Got good solid coaches. I'm excited about A&M. Marcel Reed, his 2nd year. Should be a good college football season in our house, which is nice. And then if Indiana basketball can just, hold up its end of the bargain, we could have some good basketball too.
I like press conferences again. I just wanted to add that in.
Oh man.
I
Gee
like them
whiz.
again.
I mean, just thinking about the 2 previous coaches in both sports. Yeah, I mean, now what we have is I'm happy. We're in a good place. I almost don't even want the games to start. I just kind of like this hypothetical warm feeling that I have right now. But actually, I feel good about football. I think football is going to be good. I think football is I think it's going to be one of those seasons where even when we lose, it's like some of those later Mallory years. It's like, we went to Ohio State and just, the Chris Ditto game and you lose by 7, or you're at Michigan and they call that stupid pass interference on James Summerall and you lose, but you were there and you were competing. Like, I think we may have a
38-37 at Penn State one year, right?
Yes, the Thomas
93.
Lewis game. Yes. Yeah. So
I was
feel like
there
we'll
for
have,
that.
Man, I was listening to that on the radio. We'll have some losses like that, but we're going to be competing. That makes it fun. Anyway, it's all good.
Good times.
All right, gents.
All right, I'm gonna end the
Good
stream.
to talk to you.